You can take a seat, Claudia. So before we start, because I know maybe a lot of people is not on. It's on.
Hi, guys.
I know many people might not know you or what you do or your background. So if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're passionate about talking about mental health and where your experience comes from.
Okay. Hi again. So, thank you for having me this evening. You need to practice some empathy with me because English is not my first language, but I will try my best. So, yeah, I started working 20 years ago, training youth for their first job. So I started training people, and I went to the field of psychology with this like training, consulting for companies. And after many years, a professor challenged me about coaching, and I was a coachee during 12 years. And in between, I studied psychology and tried to graduate in Brazil. It's so hard there because we need to study during full day. And finally, I did a lot of other grades as specific fields in psychology. And finally, I discovered my theory. I work with cognitive behavioral therapy. Is a modern one, so it's easy to practice it because we can do everything, and we work like when start and the end of the process, not like a Freud, every single life. When you start psychoanalysis, you need to start and you don't know when you go finish because it's like you still go through every single day about yourself. In my theory, we have start and end, so that is good for you. I think everybody here will like this because today we don't have too much time to spend talk about us, right? Is right, Dad? You're the generation likes to run a lot, so I think it's the best for you. Well, I work with families and youth here in the United States. I work in agents. Um, there we work with families, teenagers, and in Brazil I work with young people to train them to go to the professional fields, and I help a lot with some institution to help them with the struggles in mental health and psychological problems. But my field always is to prevent, to help them to go through that, not only with dysfunctional wellness. It's hard to work with that. But here, it's my field here because we have a lot of problems with dysfunction. So right now I work hard with this. So it's about me, about myself. I have my husband here, Tilo, and I have two kids, 25 and 16. So I know a little about your generation, and I feel like one. Please accept myself because I am 54 almost, but I feel like 24. So
I want to be like you when I grow up. And this brings us to the first question, which I feel like for you as a Christian, but also working in the field of psychology, you might have to confront this a lot because people always ask, how do you recognize the difference between a spiritual struggle and a mental health issue? Can there be a difference? Is it the same thing? And where is God in between that?
yeah, we have a tiny line between that. And always I feel like people doesn't understand that we have spiritual is something when you have this like you are still going through and you feel some hole inside. Yes, you feel. If you want to know God or if you want to go in this journey, you always will feel that hole. But it's not like symptomatic and physiologic. It's like more when you have some temptation, when you don't have good feelings about where you go, when you die, when you question a lot your faith, when you think about your future maybe, but it's like more abstract. You feel and you feel that hole, but it's more about some presumptions about if you how can I say that? When you don't understand the real situation in your understandable about God. What about struggle in mental health is something physiologic. You always have some symptoms, at least 2 weeks, and you feel like I cannot sleep, I cannot eat well, I have some trouble to think, to make my focus, I have problems with my social, my personal relationships, and you have some other physiological symptoms. And you can say, yes, right now, I feel this more than 2 weeks, and I need something to understand. And you really go through that as a physiological first. The people think, oh, I will be sad for 2 weeks. Is something really you need to understand, but start a little more about that. You have something in your head, something in your body. Even when you don't feel it's there, you don't control that. So we need to investigate as a physiological first. You got it? It's okay? You understand me well?
And this kind of leads us to the next thing that I feel like us being so young and like navigating relationships and friendships, what do we do if we notice that our friend or we think that our friend is struggling? How do we support them, and how do we do it without overstepping or maybe giving the wrong advice like, oh, just pray more, or check how your sin is, or things like that. Like, as a friend, how can we support and not overstep at the same time?
That's a good one. I like this question because I listen that in my sessions. And it's really important to know the help and support is more than talk. It's about listen. When you listen a person per 8 minutes, you give that person more open heart to receive your help. So we have a campaign about listen. If you listen 8 minutes, you can heal in a person. You can feel that person with some attention. And maybe it's just that person needs. So sometimes I heard that you need to pray more. Maybe you just be there for them. Maybe it's important more than you preach then. You listen and you just understand and give them empathy. Try to put in his shoes. Maybe that person needs just to share some impressions. Nothing is right or wrong when the person is feeling sad. Be there for them. You don't need to pray. When you be there and you hold maybe a hand or touch it there, the shoulder, you can help more. And a good way is always advised to go through a professional, because we don't know the assessment we need to do. So you don't know if this is only a moment or it's something that the environment create in that person. So it's very important you help them. The good way is go with this person, follow him with empathy, and go through a professional session. It's very important to start. And nobody wants to start a therapy.
Sadly, in many cases, that's very true. And that kind of leads to the emotions that not only like our age group deals with a lot, but also specifically when it comes to confronting mental health. How do we deal with guilt or shame when our mental health doesn't match the joy that we're expected to have as Christians?
It's okay, it's not a thing to be sad. So you can be sad. We don't know how to joy is for me or for you. It's different. We have a lot of kind of personalities. So if you are choleric, you are like extravagant like me. But if you are shy, if you don't feel comfortable with people, maybe you manifest your joy in another way. So we need to respect that. So the joy is inside. Everybody knows that. But sometimes my joy is be alone. I have 2 kids, totally different. One needs to talk a lot. The other doesn't need to talk, needs to be alone. So we need to know how to approach the people. And sometimes I feel like have some pressure to say, yes, I'm okay, let's go. And you don't need to. Maybe is what you need is be honest with yourself, and especially because God knows you. So when you feel something, you need to address, understand what you feel, try to investigate that, and after, maybe you can share with someone. Because God's put some people in our life, so we need to trust in them. We need to share something. When we start with a small portion, after some minutes, maybe God be there. So we know therapy is 2 or more, so God is there too.
And you brought up the fact that bringing people into the situation and letting people in those moments really helps. Does that apply the same way to community? Does it help maintain mental health and spiritual wellness, having a community around you?
Yeah, I think it is, but in particular for the community, I think we have that like we talked before. We are here, the place is prepared to have God. We know about God, but we need to understand we are open for others. So we need to be ready when we go in another place. They are not had for us. I say us because I'm Christian too. So if I go in my office, they aren't prepared to receive my way to live. So we need to know, sometimes we try to impose our beliefs for them, and they aren't prepared. So I think as a community, we need to be open to accept them and create an environment when we show us vulnerable enough to receive the vulnerable from the others. And I don't see that many of times when we treat with young people, because we have this kind of competition, comparison is the most of challenge today because we have the technology, social media. So all the time you need to compare yourself, you need to be better, strong, beautiful, attractive, smart. It's so hard. So you need to be visible, and sometimes not easy. So who wants to be invisible here? Maybe you want, but you can't, because the society, and we are society here, true. So sometimes we try to push hard people. And silence, feel, look inside, approach. I have this kind, I'm a very weird person. I don't talk with people like the others. I always go through, I'm very invasive. I have problems with ethics too because of this. But I think it's like, many times I'm discussing this in my professional life, I see, is that the way? Because the people are plastic today. We are beautiful, we have everything, but we don't have it too much inside of us. We don't talk about the problems. We are afraid to go and ask a boy or a girl about, let's go talk. We are in fears all the time right now. So I think for you, I'm very in your generation, so I feel like the freedom is more hard today because you have this like invisible fence around you. So we need to break this fence and go through and try. Hey, I know it's not common, but I'm Brazilian, I'm sorry, I have my cultural background, so can I ask your name? Can I hug you after the service? Yay, it's a start. So I think it's like we need to break some rules. What do you think? Amen. Thank you.
And you brought it up a little bit that we live in a society where there's a lot of weight and focus on outward appearance and always looking our best, and especially physically, sometimes more than our emotional and our mental health. There was a question sent in by someone asking, if you're battling depression, what advice would you give if someone's struggling with really low esteem when they do believe and they know that God made them perfectly as they are?
Yes, I'm waiting this question. Yeah. Well, everybody talk about self-esteem, but no one's talk about self-concept. That's what we need. We need to know, who am I? I need to know, because if I don't know, I will keep going. I need to find this person. I need to know who I am. So I like you, so I will be like you. So I think today, when you know who you are, when you investigate yourself, and not just like some philosophy, oh, who I am. No, it's not like that. I think we need to go through. Let me see what I think, what I like, what I want to be, what's going on inside of me. So that's why therapy is important. If you start a therapy, maybe you see how is important that. Because you never had your time to share your impressions or to share your pain. So there is an open space for you. When more you bring information for the therapist, they will push more about you. And we don't talk. We don't need to talk about you, but you need to listen about yourself. That's the problem today. So when you don't know about you, you don't know about your self-esteem because you don't like you. If you will know more about you, you will have this need to like you more or like you less, like me. I need to like me less because I'm very, very good self-concept about myself. So why? Because I investigate myself. When some people comes and say, hey, you are not well doing that. I know why I behave like that. I will try, I will think again to see my behavior, my feelings, my thoughts. And suppose I try and be flexible to change, but I need to know about myself. Because it's that I start to fix something, to understand the situation, and to repair relationships. If you don't know about yourself, you are in trouble today, because everybody wants to say who you are.
And you said that going to a therapist, talking to a professional helps kind of create that self-concept. But what about people who have this, maybe they're conflicted, they're like, well, why can't I just talk to someone who I'm close to? Like, do I need to go to a professional? What's the difference? What's better for me? How do I know what decision to make when it comes to those moments?
Sometimes we need to start doing something different, and share with someone you trust is the start. When you share something and the other receive, you can listen what you talk or the other talk. And you can see if the people said about, I feel my heart exploding, I don't sleep well, I don't eat well, I feel that for 2 3 weeks, I don't have my hopes, and the needs are so high, you need to go through the professional, because it's symptomatic, and it start go more and more. So the problem is the people needs to alleviate some symptoms. They sometimes talk, sometimes don't. So if they don't, you need to observe. We change routines and daily behaviors when we are struggling with mental health. It's notable. So you need to be aware, to be close. Sometimes you need to call, see its presence, is be close all the time, to call. So I think today, with social media technology, we never pick a phone to call anymore, right? We need to ask it before call someone, we need to text. And when you text, you don't know, you don't see, you don't feel. At least if you use emoji, it's good, but sometimes you don't use that. So you need to be there. Try to avoid disconnect if you have friends. Make sure you go out to your room, your house, meet someone, go and observe. Sometimes here we have that needs to talk and to express that joy. So sometimes we need to say, can we talk? Can we go somewhere to drink something, just to talk, to walk together? And you can know a little more. You don't need to be a professional to support someone. So it's more interesting, real, genuine, interesting. But we don't have time. So we need to create kind of statement for us. If I want to be a Christian, I need to be open to receive and help others. Like me, I have a terrible routine, a lot of positions in my life, personal, professional, as a student, because I still studying here, a mother, a wife, etc. A woman is terrible. That one is terrible. Yes, we need to do a lot of stuff, hair, nails, etc. Terrible, guys. You don't need, it's good for you. But we know, right? So we need to skip some moments, block some time to say, today I need to call someone. Today I need to meet someone. I have one space to have a coffee with a friend or someone I feel like that person need, or I need to stop in a lake to breathe and pray for 5 minutes. That's one habit. If you don't do that, you are like, you don't have your freedom to do something that God calls you. So other day, I'm used a lot of people. Sometimes I need help and I ask people and I bother someone here. They know. But like, we need to be open to receive that, to give others help too. That's, I think, is important message for you because you are here. It's nice. You receive a lot, but you need to open a little schedule for helping others too.
And I think this next question might be a rebuttal to everything you said, but I think it's very vulnerable and it's true to a lot of people in our age bracket, but also just life in general. Some of us, if we're being honest, we don't like therapy or the idea of opening up to someone, or even in cases as Christians, we struggle to be open with God and to not brush off our feelings when it comes to talking to Him and being honest with Him. How do we take that step? How do we approach that? Because I feel like if we can't even talk to God, how are we going to talk to someone else?
It's a good question. I always like to think is when we have someone to go with us is better. If you don't have, you need to search about the theory is better for you. Sometimes it's not mind theory, CBT. Sometimes you are more to listen. So you go to a group therapy and you just start listening. But you need to find a way to start. Sometimes, like we have here, the counseling, a small session, and just go. You don't need to worry about what you need to say, where you need to start. Just go, because we know what we need to do. When you don't say anything, we know, because your body communicates something. Your breath communicates something. And when you are there with someone is there for you, we will start in a point. So just go and ask for help. Or maybe don't ask for help. Just tell something. I remember I have a 14 years old who attempted suicide. And he told me, the first day, go away. And I went there for 3-4 sessions. And he never opened his mouth to say any word. But I was there. When he attempted suicide, and after that situation at the hospital, he only want to talk with me because he knows, I know he was through that, but I cannot help him before. But after, he's very sensitive. After that, he gave up from this idea, and he told me, right now, I need your help more than before. So we don't know when the help is coming, but we need to start. Because after, we don't know if we have after first, but we know is maybe the therapist is not your, don't feel like the good person for you. But try one time, two, and if you don't like, maybe that person can refer you for another one, and the second therapist maybe understand you more. In virtual sessions, you don't feel too much because you have this like screen, but it works too because we can have like some extraterritorial session to try to bring you to the point when you open your information, when you bring something, we don't need to start with the problem. Maybe we need to know about your day. Just that. Don't worry about. Like every single client I have, they don't like therapy. Nobody like. It's true. I know. But it's like when it starts, they don't want to stop because it's amazing. And I agree because I did a lot. And I still doing because to care people, I need to care myself. So try.
And before our last question, I would like to add on to this. The same approach to therapy, it should be with God also. You don't have to prepare to be vulnerable with God. He just wants to hear you talk to him. He just wants to let you know that he's there. He's always waiting with open arms. It's just we like to put barriers before us getting to him. So I know for me, a lot of times, if I'm really struggling with something and I don't even want to tell God, it's when you let it build, eventually it's going to come out. But it's in those moments where there's no one around. If you create a space where you can feel like nobody's there, it's just you and him, you can let go and you can let God know what's going on. And he's there to listen. And the Holy Spirit, the power of the Holy Spirit is so amazing because as you're letting go and you're talking to God about what's going on, the Holy Spirit talks back. For me, it's in the simple form of peace that washes over me. The amount of times, like, I commute a lot, I drive, and as I'm driving, there are days, like if I'm having a really hard week, that's the moment where I feel bad for anybody who passes by my window. You're going to see me sobbing and worshiping, but I'm talking to God. You might question if that's okay, but it is. It's in those moments. Or it's in the shower, it's in your room, because I know life gets busy. We're in a world that's loud, full of distractions. And it's when you're in the silence, that's when God speaks to you. In the silence, you can hear his voice. So create a space and time where you can just be vulnerable because all you can hear back is the Lord's voice, and that's it. Our last question, which relates more to like symptoms, because I feel like a lot of us, like in this world, we have so much information. We're like, I have depression, I have anxiety, I have this, I have that. So we got a question specifically asking, a lot of times I feel unmotivated to leave my house. If I don't make plans in my weekend time when I'm free, I will spend 3 days in a row in my room. Does that mean I have some sort of mental illness or a symptom of it?
It's not only one symptom to know if you have some dysfunction, but if you have this for 2 weeks, you can start thinking about and observe other symptoms. But maybe you don't do that because it's hard. Someone will notice that. But the special tips I can give about that is we know neuroscience today is most important than psychology because it's proven. So we have the brain. The brain is connected with our body. We have this connection and we need to know the habits we need to do 21 days to be something for you. So if you have 3 days in your room, try to change your routine and try to make this for 2-3 weeks and keep going. Try hard. Because if you go to the gym today, you always want to be like me. I want to be that body, that health, but I don't want to do anything. I want to buy books, right? But if you keep going for 21 days, like I did in the gym, working hard, and try to keep my schedule to open this, to change my health, to improve my bar, to work with me, I need to be there 21 days. After that, I create something in my life so I can change. When you do that, you can change everything. But if you just have 3 days, try to connect with your inside. If you can ask yourself, I'm feel my heart exploding, I sleep well or not, I eating well or not. Okay, if you eat, sleep, maybe something different. It's not a struggle. But if you're not eating, it's not sleeping, be there 3 days, something's going wrong. So try to have some support. Talk with someone. It's not saying to say, I need your help. It's bravery. It's courage. Today is more easy to be in silence. But it's not the right way to be close to God. So God is there and send you friends, pastor, the leaderships here. You have everything. So don't be afraid to say something for others. Just open a little bridge will building between you and this person. Like here we have open spots to counseling session. Some weeks I don't have anyone, so try, okay?
And it's affordable, guys. I was going to say that at the end and remind everybody about this. Like, our church makes it so that it's, the last time I checked, it's about $20. And if you guys have not seen the market for therapy nowadays, people can charge up to $300 for an hour session. And here, like, if it's English you prefer, we have English therapists. If it's Portuguese, we have it in Portuguese. If you're older than 18 and up, if you're younger, there is a therapist for you. And whatever preferences you can send in the form, you can fill out anything, even if you want to beforehand bring up what you want to talk about. If you want to meet once or meet multiple times, like, you have that option. So please don't take it for granted, and don't worry if you're like, but like, I go to the church, people are going to find out. No, it's confidential. So don't worry about that. And please, if you are interested, find one of us who spoke, or Claudia também, we can send you the form. Or if you don't want to ask us, you want to go on the church's app, it's there also. But yeah, the reason why we're talking about this is because mental health is not supposed to be a taboo. It's not something that we ignore as Christians. It's something that we address. Because when we take care of mental health, we make room for God to show us how to take care of other people also. It's not just an issue of the world. It's an issue of everyone. And by getting not only the gospel in it, but ourselves in it, we learn more, we grow, and we not only become healthy on the outside, but on the inside also. So if you guys can join me giving a round of applause to Claudia and saying thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget it. Just don't forget it. Jesus have many emotions. I remembered some passages in the Bible when he's angry, he's happy, he's sad. I think we need to know how we feel. What's going on with my emotion? I can show Mel my smile and my cry. I think we need to be honest with ourselves, okay? Thank you for having me.